Well, first things first, if you could excuse me for a second, you can talk amongst yourself. I don't know if you heard this earlier. There's someone in a room next to mine, and they're playing loud music. I want to tell them to try to turn it
Oh,
down.
yeah. I wasn't sure
Oh, I
what that
couldn't even
was.
hear it. I didn't hear
I
it.
think that's before you came on, though. So I'll
Yeah, I
be
think.
right back.
Okay.
Can you hear like a whirring noise in the background of my audio?
I mean, very, very faintly. Like, it's not anything that's that music.
Okay, now I hear it. There we go. Okay, now I hear it.
Are you nostalgic, a parent, or perhaps a child at heart? When it comes to children's media, from books to TV shows, and even movies, there's often more than meets the eye. Is it well written? Does it still hold up today? What works and what doesn't? Or maybe you wonder what went on behind the scenes of that work. Together, a trio of adults who are also kids at heart will critique and comment on one piece of children's media each episode.
Hello, this is Eric.
Hi, I'm PJ.
And I'm Rico. You're listening to Beyond the Lens, a family-friendly podcast. Welcome to this new episode of Beyond the Lens. As it's getting closer to that time of year, I figured it would be appropriate to go over some Christmas shows that were aimed towards kids. And this is my pick, and it happens to be the Christmas movie Merry Christmas, Drake and Josh.
So, how familiar are you guys with the TV show Drake and Josh that the Christmas special is based off of?
Well, I started watching it when I was a kid. There was one day I was just channel surfing, and I came to Drake and Josh. It was the episode Paging Dr. Drake, where Drake impersonated a doctor when Josh had to get foot surgery.
Yes, okay. That's a
Mm-hmm.
good one to start with.
Yeah, I think I mentioned this in our SpongeBob episode, but I mostly grew up with Nickelodeon, and Drake and Josh was definitely a show that I grew up watching, and it's definitely one of my favorite shows, even to this day. I still occasionally watch it if there are reruns on.
I think what's fascinating to me about this show is it's another Dan Schneider production. Now, Dan Schneider is a massive innovator of the teenage and the YA network shows, because he's the one that created All That, and then the second iteration of All That, he created the Amanda Show, which spun off and had Drake and Josh, which spun off and had iCarly, which spun off and had Sam and Cat. Then there was, you had Zoe 101, you had Victorious, you have all sorts of different shows that are on even now that he created. He also did the Amanda Bynes Show for, I think it was the CWWB, one of those channels. That was What I Like About You, which I enjoyed. And what he was able to do with that show, which I thought was great, was that he was able to take the audience that watched the Amanda Show and grow them up with Amanda Bynes. So the material was a little bit more mature in that she was dating and doing that kind of stuff as opposed to doing a variety show. So I think Drake and Josh was one of the best cast shows that he has done, and I think it really reached out to a large audience because it was so balanced with its characters, and there was a lot for everyone to enjoy. While we're on the topic of characters, did you guys have a particular character that stuck out to you more that was your favorite?
Yeah, in terms of the characters, my favorite character was Crazy Steve, because he made whatever scene he was in that much funnier, and I love the actor too. Jerry Trainer, he was amazing, and on iCarly too. He's just a really talented guy, and he definitely brought Crazy Steve to life.
Yeah, what I enjoy about him too is that they'll from what I picture of them working on the set and doing the read-throughs and the rehearsals and everything, is something will be written a certain way, and he'll go, well, can I play with it? And then be able to just go completely insane with it. And I think that's great. Almost like a Jim Carrey-esque and a Robin Williams-esque vibe to him when he was doing Crazy Steve, which I think is great. Rico, did you have a specific character? Yeah, absolutely. Jerry's fantastic. Rico, did you have a specific character that you were fond of?
Not really. Like, I guess you could say I like all the characters. It's sort of hard to pick just one.
That's fair. I am particularly fond of Helen, who is the movie theater manager. I think she's hysterical. I love her.
Oh, she's amazing.
It's so funny because she theoretically, this character should really irritate me, because there are people in real life that I know that are so fond of somebody and then so not fond of somebody that actually does hard work, and it just irritates me so much. So in reality, I should really dislike this character, but she does this plot in such a comedic way that it's just, oh god, I love it so much. Yours is askew. I do random quotes from this show too. I mean, surprise, it's another show and a television special that I quote all the time. South America. What? South America. Oh. Oh gosh. I think what's great about this show that really reflected even more so in this Christmas special, Merry Christmas, Drake and Josh, is the dynamics of all the characters. They interacted well together. They were able to play well off of each other, and you can tell that it was the actors that got along and that were able to play off of each other's acting skills, as opposed to other actors who are just pretending to be these characters and are pretending to have fun. There's so much of these characters that are innately in the performers themselves, and because they all get along on set, they're able to really play with each other as performers and actors, as well as the characters. And I think that is really brought out in this Christmas special as well.
Mm-hmm. Oh, absolutely. Like, I don't know if you guys like keep up with Josh Peck, but he does have a YouTube channel, and I'm actually subscribed to him, and he's still like friends with all the other cast members. I mean, Miranda Cosgrove, just came back in a vlog of his. Oh, that was like one of the best videos I had ever seen, and it just warmed. I'm like, my childhood is still there. It's alive and well, and it was so great to see that they're still friends and still talking to each other. It just warms my heart.
The video of him going around and telling everyone that his wife is having a baby is one of my favorite videos to ever come out of the internet. Oh my gosh, everyone freaking out. It's just it's everything that I want out of a YouTube video. It's all the happiness and the joy and the crying and John Stamos. It's so good, because I like that he keeps in contact with his grandfathered cast too, which I think is great. What else? I think the show did a very good job. I love all the performers. I think they're all great actors. I think they're all great comedians, and that's something very, very hard to do, especially on a children's or teenage television network, because you have moments and all that are even Saturday Night Live gets into some moments where it's like, is this funny or is it forced? And a lot of Drake and Josh was not forced. It was very acted in the teenage Disney Channel, Nickelodeon, Teen Nick style, but the material itself and where it comes from is from a very funny place, and I really like that about this show. Rico, do you want to talk about what this Christmas special is, Merry Christmas, Drake and Josh?
Yeah, believe it or not, it came out 10 years ago. Yeah.
Oh, we're old.
and basically, it starts off with Drake and Josh going to the premiere mall. Drake is Santa Claus, and then Josh is a sack of toys. and there's a part where Drake is still dressed as Santa Claus kissing this really attractive girl, and all of a sudden this person who's next in line, who Drake is not attracted to at all, tries to kiss him as well, and so he tries to run off, and while he's distracted by that, he meets Mary Alice for the first time, who then asks him, because he's dressed as Santa Claus, for the best Christmas ever, and Drake promises her that. And they cut to a Christmas party, which is on the roof. Then Josh and Drake notice there's party crashers, so Josh calls the police. The police mistake him as one of the party crashers and attempts to arrest him. Then that whole thing goes horribly wrong.
Poor Josh.
And so, while Drake is trying to sort out Josh's legal troubles, Mary Alice comes up to Drake again, and it turns out that she's not just some regular kid. She's part of a foster family with 5 other kids, and their foster mom is in the hospital. Their dad is working 2 jobs now, and apparently the dad told him that sometimes Santa can't come to all the houses in the world, and so it's this really sad sort of story, and Drake vows to keep his promise. But that then prompts Drake then to attempt to break Josh out of prison, which he gets caught with Josh unconscious. And so now they're both hauled into court, facing years in prison. And then, thanks to Helen, who apparently represents them, because there was a whole lawyer bit, the judge learns about the promise made to Mary Alice and her foster family to give them the best Christmas ever. So then the judge decides that because they have no prior criminal violations on their record, that they won't put them in jail this time, but it's contingent on the condition that he gives Mary Alice and her foster family the best Christmas ever. If they fail at doing that, then they have to go back to prison. So the movie is mostly focused on them trying to give Mary Alice and her foster family the best Christmas ever. And then there's this antagonist, which is Drake and Josh's parole officer, who really hates Christmas, and we learn why towards the end. He just gives Drake and Josh a really, really hard time.
It's very challenging to create a holiday special that doesn't feel like the plot is recycled. Hallmark Channel. Starting their Christmas movies in October in 2018 because they're insane. Anyways, I think this one was very well done for a Christmas special because it didn't try to force a plot for either one. It was a plot that would very much happen in the universe of the television series, but it was also a very Christmassy type plot, utilizing the characters from that specified television series. And I think that Drake and Josh characters in this situation worked very well. There are many ways that you can do a Christmas special for a television series, and forcing characters from one franchise into a Christmas themed special doesn't always necessarily work. So I'm really glad it did for this one.
Mm-hmm.
First off, was there any of the movie only characters that really stood out to you?
Oh goodness. I'm gonna say that the older brother Luke is going to be the person that sticks out for me. Only because you always have those people that they're always down on their luck. They don't always get in the Christmas spirit. And you see it with Scrooge and you see it with, various other characters, Burgermeister, Meisterburger, and all sorts of stuff. But at least with this character, with Luke, you can really understand why he's not happy and not pleased with how everything turns out because of the life situations that he has faced. Mm-hmm. It's not anything that is his fault. And that's where the trouble really is with him, is that the world is a mess. And because of that, he's suffering, and which is not okay. And sometimes Christmas is that one time of year where you can, forget your troubles and be happy and get along with everyone. And sometimes it's just a reminder of all the things that you don't have. So being able to see that perspective from Luke for a teenage audience and a young adult audience is a very important thing, because people that are watching this show are not in that circumstance, are not in such negative circumstances. So being able to see a character that is in those circumstances around their age and present it in such a way is very, very good. No. Okay, sorry. I'm thinking I am going all over the place, and all the episodes and this movie are blending together. I was like, is this the one that ends with a wedding? No, this does not end with a wedding.
No, that was the finale.
Yes.
Well, actually, I think it was supposed to be the finale, but then they aired a few episodes after the finale, and for whatever reason, they aired the episodes out of order.
Oh, interesting.
Why is TV dumb?
Who knows?
Because in the finale of Drake and Josh, Josh gets the golden sweater vest for being was it associate manager or something like that?
Something like that, yeah.
And basically in the next episode that aired after that, obviously because it was aired out of order, Josh is still working at the premiere and he's not wearing that vest.
Oh, jeez.
And I think that's probably why they had the premiere be a mall on the Christmas special, because of the fire at the end of the finale. It's, I guess, presumed that the whole premiere building burned down, so they relocated to a mall.
Okay. I like that the special did have almost every character in it, because Craig and Eric were in it, who were the nerdy type kids. Mm-hmm. Mindy makes an appearance. I love Allison, who plays Mindy. She is so wonderful. I love the character of Mindy. I think she's great, and I think her and Josh really balanced well together. I also love, this is something else that I think Dan really nails when he's doing a show, is the casting of adult characters. He nails it. He nails the kids, but it's also just as important to nail casting the adults. And Jonathan Goldstein and Nancy Sullivan as Walter and Audrey, the parents, are just incredible. They play well off of each other. You can see the relationship between, because they're step family, you can see where Drake and Megan come from. You can see where Josh comes from. They balance well together. It's just, they're so good. Honestly, it's been, this family dynamic works so well. I think the next one that I really was like, this family is so good, is Good Luck Charlie. Mm-hmm. I think the family dynamic that they had in that show also worked really well. So while the family dynamic works, they took the parents out of the equation and had them go into a tropical destination where the storm hit and everything like that. So they really weren't all together in a unit set until the end of the movie, which was a little irritating, but also your kids can't get into shenanigans unless the adults are out of the way. Mm-hmm. Rascally kids. There was a couple of songs in this, right? Because they did the 12 Days of Christmas.
Yeah.
They did a couple songs at the beginning too, right?
Yeah, they got like at the very beginning in the background, there's an original song I think by I forget the name. It's Blackhouse something. It's
Blackhouse Mike.
yeah, yeah. It's the created original Christmas song for the very beginning of the movie, and I believe Dan Schneider, due to popular demand, released the full song to his YouTube channel. I'm not sure if it's still there, but I'm sure that other people who got caught it definitely ripped it and re-uploaded it, so that's out there.
That's good.
And then at the first song, well, the only song that they play at the party on the roof is a really cool rock version of Jingle Bells.
Yeah. I'm all about the rock covers. Yeah. They are hip and cool.
Apparently, in that whole police chase thing when Josh falls in the back of the truck and the police are trying to chase him down. If you hear closely, the one singing that cover, I forget the name of the song. It's a popular Christmas pop type song. It's actually Miranda Cosgrove. She recorded a version specifically for that scene.
How fun. Especially since she has been breaking out at that point, had been breaking out into the music industry. That makes sense.
Yeah.
And obviously there was the 12 Days of Christmas for the Christmas caroling. Then at the end, I forget the name of the band. It's another Christmas pop song in the background. I believe it's called Make Some Noise, It's Christmas. So
I don't know. I feel, how long did this special run? Like, what was the runtime of it?
well, it was about an hour and a half without commercials, and then about 2 hours with.
Okay. When I hear a Christmas movie, my go-to reference for certain things is Home Alone, and Home Alone had a beautifully balanced amount of Christmas music, whether in the forefront or in the background. And I always want more Christmas music in all of these movies, and I feel like this one was lacking in all of the music department. It had select good notes, but I think it could have used more. How dare they? They can't use the excuse we didn't have enough to choose from, because that's crap.
I mean, one thing that I remember thinking about, like, in the first few times when I was first watching it, obviously this did not happen, but I almost wonder what your take would be on something like this, if it would be feasibly possible for Dan Schneider to sort of create a spin-off based on this movie's foster family that's featured with Mary Alice, and then I believe the other kids, Trey, who like always goes off on a tangent. And then there's Zigbee, the one who speaks a foreign language that they don't know. And then, like you said before, Luke, the guy who just is sort of down because of what life sort of threw at him early on. Then the twin girls, Violet and Lily, who always end up fighting and apparently breaking things. I really thought that the whole dynamic between that foster family, it might have been worthy of a spinoff of its own, but I don't know. I want to hear your guys' thought on it.
I think at this point, 10 years later, it would not happen. However,
probably not.
Well, but I mean, back then had it, yeah.
Yeah, I think that might have been a potential marketing thing of testing and going, well, maybe if this goes well and this family is well received, maybe this is a possibility moving forward. I think the tone of the movie was it was really weird because you could tell it was filmed as a movie and not as a television series. So like some of the tones of the camera filters were darker and stuff, so that was a little weird. And I think the acting not having the audience laughing track kind of responded weird, but having the dynamic of the kids interacting with each other, I think tweaking their lines a little bit and putting them into that foster situation again and separating the Drake and Josh characters from it, I think that would work as a television series. Even if it wasn't those kids specifically and it was just the foster kids family situation, I think that as a comedy would work. You'd again have to have those really well developed characters. There were specific quirks about each of those, each of the kids that clashed when they interacted with each other. And there's one that studies a lot, and there's one that gets into crazy situations, and there's one that tries weird food. And I think that would work in a scenario in a television series, whether or not it was these cast of kids or not. So I think it's still a possibility for it to work. One thing that they focused on, which was basically the entire plot of the special, was the perfect Christmas. And I guess my question is there a such thing as a perfect Christmas, and what makes the perfect Christmas versus a good Christmas or a great Christmas? And why are those the things that make it a great Christmas and a perfect Christmas?
Well, tough question to answer, but it's a really good one. I mean, you can try and attempt to have a perfect Christmas, but in reality, you think it's going to go perfectly, but then it never does. So I really don't think you can have a perfect Christmas, because it's like you have this scenario in your head, right? And you think it's going to play out in real life, but then it doesn't. It's like there might be one thing that's offered. I don't know. At least that's how it's always been for me. But yeah. I mean yeah. I think as long as you're celebrating. You shouldn't be. I think this was from a movie too. I don't remember which one. But it's not really great being alone on Christmas because it's like you don't have anyone to celebrate. No, I don't remember the. I swear it was a quote from a movie or something.
It's probably or a Hallmark movie because there's a bajillion. Yeah,
it's just being alone. Yeah, I'm sure it was from a Hallmark movie.
Keep being bitter about it.
No, I know, same. But yeah, I don't think there's a right or wrong way to celebrate Christmas.
I just think it's weird when people there are certain traditions that people have, and I completely agree with them. Like, you do what you want to do, that's because each family or each person does something very distinctly different that they think is the perfect Christmas. But when you put it into the perspective of like corporate perfect Christmas, you have to have a big Christmas tree, and you have to have a bajillion lights and a million ornaments, and you have to decorate your house, and you have to have Christmas music playing, and you have to have a specific meal, and it's like, screw all of that. If I don't want any of that, I'm not going to do it, and then I'm going to be just as happy. If I want to go to Denny's with my son and sit there and order chocolate milk and be told we're out, and then I go, regular milk's fine because I still quote to Santa Claus, I'll do as I please, and then maybe one day I'll become Santa Claus if he falls off my roof. So, no, I think each person has their distinct traditions, and I think what those traditions are is what stands out as their perfect Christmas. I don't think there is a such thing as a perfect Christmas, which is what one of the things that irritated me about the special is they were trying to create basically a fake Christmas. There's no such thing as the perfect Christmas. Something's going to go wrong. You're going to get, you try too hard to make things perfect. You're going to drive people away or drive your family away, or you're going to wish them away, and then you're going to be home alone with Macaulay Culkin, and then you're going to and then you're going to wish them gone again 2 years later, and they're going to be lost in New York, and it's going to be a mess. Each Christmas special they try to hyper focus on a specific thing, and this one was creating the perfect Christmas and bringing people together. And I think bringing people together is such a huge important thing at Christmas time. But perfect Christmas, not so much. My thing that I do is it is not officially Christmas or the perfect Christmas until I have watched all of my Rankin Bass specials, all of my Rudolph and Frosty and Santa and Miser Brothers and Nestor and Little Drummer Boy. And if I have not watched every single one of them in whatever order I please, by the time Christmas rolls around, I am in a panicked mess on Christmas Day, and I have to just sit and marathon the rest of them. Other than that, like food will be served at some point, whether it's, Christmas traditional like ham or turkey or potatoes or frozen pizza, like what have you. That's one thing I really enjoy. So there's an attraction at Magic Kingdom called the Carousel of Progress, and they go through each of the different scenes as a holiday at a different time period, and it shows like the progress that we've made. So it starts at like the turn of the century, and then it goes in the 1920s, and electricity's come in and all sorts of stuff. So by the time they get to Christmas at the end, is the last scene, and it's like the 90s Christmas. It's like the Christmas of the future, set in 1995. Because like they have virtual reality headsets, and I was like, oh, this is a mess. But their whole thing is like they're trying to they just celebrated a great Christmas, and they're doing Christmas dinner, and it has to be the perfect dinner because last year Dad ruined the Christmas turkey, and now the oven like reacts to his to the different things that he says. So it's like set oven to 375. So the kid starts screaming out scores, and he starts screaming out the scores back, and it's like, oh, 625, and then the oven responds and says, oh, 625 Fahrenheit. And eventually the oven explodes, the turkey's ruined, and the dad is like so upset. The mom is like, my turkey, it's ruined. And the daughter's like, anyone up to order a pizza? And and everyone kind of chuckles, and it's like, well, here we go. Like, not every Christmas is going to work out, but you're with the people that you love and care about, and there is a tree of some sort, whether it's, well, and then that brings in Charlie Brown. Like, you have Charlie Brown and his tree. Like, it doesn't necessarily have to be it's not the material possessions or the food that's served that matters. It's the people that you surround yourself with that makes a great Christmas. And the creepy jailbreaker that comes down the chimney and brings you all sorts of random stuff, like in Drake and Josh.
Mm-hmm.
That was my giant rant about Christmas perfection.
Which, by the way, I've actually been on the Carousel of Progress, and I that was one of my favorite rides, but at the same time it was like, yeah, I totally understand the Christmas part though. I was like, oh wow, this is interesting. Summed up my thoughts too.
I love that ride so much. And Christmas at Disney is also a completely separate topic. But they do a good job with inviting people in. The theme parks at Disney specifically is really good about marketing to a variety of people to say, you can come with your children or your grandparents or your blood family, or you can come with your girlfriend or with your wife or husband or what have you. Or you can come with your small group of friends, and you can have fun. And they really hammer in on that at Christmas time. So now, being November, it is now officially Christmas time for the theme park industry, and you're seeing all sorts of advertisements and all sorts of like, come in and welcome to the park and welcome to our family, and Christmas is for everyone and the holidays are for everyone. And it's very inclusive, which is great.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's what this special really got back to, was that Christmas is inclusive. It's about everyone. You know, some others might not be as well off as you, but and if you notice that, don't continue to exclude them. Figure out what you can do to make their holiday better. It is the season of giving. You should give of your talents and of yourself in order to make other people happy, and in doing so, you will become happy as well. And that was really what the end all of the special was giving back to those that are less fortunate, and then in turn making yourself happy.
Yeah, and going back to what Eric said earlier, they just did a really great job of capturing that. Like, you don't really see a lot of Christmas movies that doing that sort of topic, if that makes sense.
Yeah, for me, I guess my gripe with the movie is not necessarily the whole perfect Christmas thing. Well, that is something that I guess is sort of their phrasing is more so the best Christmas ever, which is sort of the same thing. But my gripe is more so with the phrase that's repeated very early on. You can't break a Christmas
Yeah, that
promise.
irritates me too. Yeah, I completely forgot about that until you brought that up, and I'm like, oh, yeah, that's... Because it's like a guilt trip thing, and I was like, why is this... The movie still would have worked so well if that line wasn't in it really at all. Mm-hmm. But repeated it, like you said, as much as it was, that was irritating.
Mm-hmm. Especially if you think about it, in a hypothetical perfect world, you can't really break any promise, whether it's around Christmas time or if it's in the middle of summer.
And everyone just assumes that because it's Christmas, like it must mean more, and it must be more important because there's the ho-ho man and he's watching, and I'm like, why is this so hammered in at this time of the year? This makes me so upset. Or like Christmas is the only time you should behave or be a decent person. Like, stop that right now. Who are you? That was one of the things with Jingle All the Way, is that I feel like by the end of the movie the data changed, but you know, you can't just behave or be a decent human or a decent parent or a decent child at Christmas time. That's not how life works. If that's how you operate, then I'm going to lock you up until Christmas time, and then I'll be like, okay, you can come out, but ho-ho man's watching you, and so am I. As everyone can hear, I'm very passionate about this holiday season, but people celebrate it wrong. There are two ways of doing things, the Eric way or the wrong way. I feel like Christmas is done, and so it's just ingrained in people's minds incorrectly, and we've gotten to this point where people just focus on the marketing side of Christmas and the gifts and the purchasing, and I'm like, you're missing the entire point. And the stress. People focus so much, especially with Black Friday shopping, they focus so much on the stress of Christmas. And I think having the time constraint on this with Drake and Josh, with, you know, you have until Christmas and you have to give them the perfect Christmas and you can't break a Christmas promise. And there's so much stress built up upon this, which, yes, makes sense because that gives them a hindering point and the driving of the plot, but also them getting stressed out over this and getting all this pressure put on them. I'm like, that stresses me out. I really connect with Josh on a lot of levels throughout the television series and the special, and I'm just like, I get thrown into all these stupid situations, and I'm like, why am I in the middle of this? And I feel like it's the same with this. It's like, why am I here? why am I having to worry about this? And then, you know, Drake always being the one that's trying to make the realization of like, oh, Christmas is not about me, or it's not about this thing that I want, or it's about these other people. And Josh is like, yes, I've told you that from the beginning. Like, stop being stupid. Why, poor Josh. He has to deal with stupidity all of his life. And bullying from his sister. Yeah, that's the whole thing too. It's like parents expect you to be specifically nice to your family at this time. And I think that three sibling dynamic is a perfect example of like they fight constantly throughout this entire series. You cannot expect them to be perfect for one day. Like that's a huge expectation for every family. You should be expecting them to be wonderful and nice to each other for the most part, all the year round. Why are you dumb? Why are people in their mindset so naive? Just want to shove them in a stocking.
Well, at least as it relates to Megan in this movie, as well as I think the only other Drake and Josh movie that was released, Drake and Josh Go Hollywood. One thing that I noticed with regards to Megan, it's probably more so with the Go Hollywood one than this Christmas one, that she seems out of character as far as like being nice compared to how she is in the TV series.
I think part of it is you can tell from certain episodes of the TV series, while she does pick on her siblings in a sibling-like relationship, she also does care about them because there are points where she is running around with them or trying to help them solve situations or resolve situations for them, and then, then turns around and like, throws a water balloon or something like that. But I think by the time that this point rolled around, the show had been off the air or had ended or concluded for like over a year at this point, and probably about a year and a half. And I think just through the course of natural puberty, I think she just matured naturally, and we just didn't get to see that in the public eye, as far as in the context of the television series of these characters, because the show had been off the air. So I think they just felt it's time to mature this character.
I can see that, but at least with regards to like Jake and Josh Go Hollywood, like she spends. What happens is they put Megan on the wrong plane, and she's supposed to go, I think, to Denver, and she ends up in Hollywood, and then Jake and Josh end up getting yet again mixed up with criminals who apparently stole something from the treasury, and so now they're essentially held captive by these criminals, and Megan doesn't really know where they are or what exactly is going on with them. And during that time, she seems to have a slightly uncharacteristic care about them, at least for that point in the series. And I will say, though, that in the climax of that movie, when Megan turns on the fans to get her brothers out of the situation with the counterfeit money, she does end up grabbing a bunch of counterfeit money and she uses it to pay her limo driver.
Yeah. You're right. All right. Merry Christmas, Drake and Josh. Final thoughts.
Well, for me, it probably isn't like the best in terms of like Christmas specials and movies and things like that. It's definitely been something that is very close to me around this time of year, and I watch it every year since it came out.
I do remember watching it the first time. I don't remember all the details, but I do remember enjoying it and having it be the highlight of my Christmas that year. So I really enjoyed this movie. I just wish I could remember all the context.
It's really funny because I feel like every time I do a podcast, it's like I'm playing Celine Dion, and I'm just like, it's all coming back to me now. So yeah, because I was like, I do not remember very much of this, and then as we were talking about it, I was like, oh, I remember way more of this than I thought. I just needed to get the old brain moving. Nickelodeon is very hit or miss with their movies, and I think this one was a very well done Nickelodeon movie. I think I agree with Rico. While this is not by any means a phenomenal Christmas special, it does a very excellent job of combining the Christmas season with the Drake and Josh characters, and the situation they get into is something outrageous, but also very different than what we've seen in other Christmas specials. It's not lovey-dovey. It's a fun Christmas movie, and that's what I enjoy about it. And again, going back to the character dynamics, these character dynamics work well even in this situation, which is so important. And I enjoy this special very much. And I think it was a good way to bring back these characters for one last hoo-ha.
Yeah.
Probably like the funniest scene that I remember from this movie is one when they are first out of prison for the first time, and Drake pulls out this GPS he bought online for $6, and it gives him directions, but it's without any sort of warning. Like, turn right in 5 feet.
Yeah.
And at the end, it says they arrived when they haven't. And apparently, what I found out is that if you turn on closed captionings with a special, right when he throws it out the window, you can hear the GPS say recalculating, but then you can't hear this next bit that it says, and it says malfunction. Yeah.
Oh my God, they're so funny. Well, it's what's great about that too is there's apps now that malfunction real bad, and sometimes they'll do that kind of crap, and it's like, ugh. So it's definitely something that's super relatable.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. I think it was still in high school when Apple unveiled their, I don't think it was still in high school, I think I had just graduated, but when Apple unveiled their Maps program, and if you don't know anything about where I live, there was a location of an old high school that has since been knocked down, and there are now condos and a park there. And then they built a new high school in a completely different location. But if you went on Apple Maps like when it first came out, it still showed the local high school at the old location.
Oh, yeah. Google Maps will also do that too. Still. As a friend of mine once said, it's totally fine. Technology sucks.
Yep.
And I'm like, oh, come on, guys. Get your life together. All right, ready to head out?
Yeah, so this has been an interesting discussion on both Merry Christmas, Drake and Josh, as well as the Drake and Josh series as a whole. And so, until next time, this has been a journey beyond the lens. Thank you for listening to Beyond the Lens. The intro music is Work. That's W-E-R-Q by Kevin MacLeod. It is available under a Creative Commons Attribution License and can be downloaded for free at incompetech.com. Beyond the Lens is a Recore Entertainment production.
You steal my drink?
Rico, you better not have stolen his drink.
No.
I hear bits and pieces of conversations, and that is the one that particularly stood out.